Eternal Atake by Lil Uzi Vert, which is a lot to unpack for numerous reasons, even different to like normal audio phase reasons. But essentially, Eternal Atake got released in two parts. One part last week while we were on like official audio phase break, and one part this week, which was the deluxe version.
Love versus the World 2.
Was also titled Lil Uzi Vert versus the World 2. So like yeah, it was like a kind of sequel to the previous Lil Uzi Vert versus the World album that kind of got him on the map. But the important thing to know about the difference between the two is that Eternal, like, so if you went on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever and went to the Eternal Atake deluxe version, disc 1 is the deluxe version. Disc 2 is the original version. The deluxe version is
so
30.
So unnecessary.
The deluxe version is 32 songs long and an hour and 45 minutes long.
So unnecessary.
And it's everything we hate about double albums. But the regular version is 18 songs long and an hour and 2 minutes long.
And everything I hate about trap.
It's still a little bit long, but like I think it's slightly more manageable.
Yeah.
But we could go into it. So like this is Lil Uzi Vert's proper album, and I will start because I think it's a little bit
interested to hear with the amount of features because I have some takes.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because we already kind of get a little bit of glimpses into what you think about it, but I'll start with me. I think currently this year, as I'm speaking in mid-March 2020, this is the trap album to beat. This is so far the best album that's come out this year. It's rough, but like I challenge you to name me another trap album.
Just stop making trap. Just like or
different. So the difference is just to lay it on the table.
So you listen to both.
I listen to, I mean, sure, but essentially I listen to version 2.
Okay, you didn't listen to just Eternal Take, the disc 2.
Last week I listened to disc 2 by itself, and I was like, this is the trap album to beat. I didn't listen to the I listened to the additional versions.
This is why
week.
This is why we hate double albums.
There's a number of reasons why we hate double albums. But let me
review.
I need like 2 minutes in order to then get you in. So the first part of the deluxe version, which I know is super confusing, but the first part basically includes, other than a couple of standard no frills Lil Uzi Vert songs, includes all the features that I'm glad didn't bog down the standard version of the album. Because I actually think Lil Uzi Vert shines pretty well on his own as a lyricist, and even in some of the production here and there on his own in the standard version of the album, with the very couple here and there features that are sprinkled out. In the deluxe version, it's just the features that like the trap heads will love. You have Future, you have Chief Keef, you have Young Thug and Gunna, you have Lil Durk, Young Nutty, Young Thug again on another song. You have 21 Savage, who I think is like one of the peak songs on the album, Yes Sirski, which is just like, again, like 21 Savage carries it really well by being like himself.
21 Al-Qaeda, I'm Taliban.
Yeah, there's a lot of bars in there that like I don't even have the mental capacity currently right now to really dissect, but I think it's a really good song. We are 21 Savage heads here on the podcast, but it's really good. But I will say as my overall take before Sean gets into it is that the first part are just like all the features that Lil Uzi Vert did a great job in not including in the regular version, because I would say the regular version was already a few songs too long, and that only adding these features would have probably helped the album do better in like charts because you have these features on it, but it wouldn't have made the album a good product. And as far as the album itself, starting with Baby Pluto, I mean, this is sort of taking a trap futurism kind of role, which a couple of other artists have taken. I think Takeoff has done this in a couple of his albums. I think that Space Cadet like album that he did as a solo one, I forget as it comes to mind, but Takeoff's The Lost Rocket, that's the one. It's very like future trap, not Future the artist, but futuristic as in like it's using a lot of electronic sounds. It's building on top of standard trap and building like video game bloopy noises from like arcade games from the 80s and adding those in. It gives the album its own unique sound for sure. But as you go into it, you start to wonder like how many songs on this album needed to be there to express that kind of vibe. So with the proper version, like starting with Baby Pluto, it definitely is a good way of getting you in. I think Silly Watch is like the line. I think that song is the line between like too trap heavy and kind of ridiculous versus actually walking this like sound that it's trying to do. Of like making you feel like they made trap music based off of arcade noises from the 1980s and 1990s. You Better Move is a song that like has literally like it seems like a ship in one of those games is like you press the button and it shoots at an asteroid and the asteroid explodes. Like that's the sound that backs it up the whole time. It's like you better move. And it's really interesting in that way. But I've already gone over my like way over my 2 minutes in trying to explain this. So Sean, jump in.
It's the production is so cheap for Lil Uzi Vert. It's hilarious. So I
So you think he deserves better?
He can do better because there's a song I really liked on Love Is Rage 2, EXO Tour Life, which I hate that I like that song, but I really like that song. The production of that, everything was fantastic, and I go, okay, this guy may actually be able to make good trap. With Eternal Take, with Baby Pluto, the lyrics are just, you know, the usual, I slept with her, her pussy's so fire, this, all that stupid shit. I'm like, this is disgusting, okay. But the production of all of the normal trap sounds, it felt very, very cheap. As in somebody got like, just got a laptop, bumped it up and didn't just like copy and pasted over, especially in the middle of the album, copy and pasted the same beat over and over and over again. But if you're listening to it with headphones, it didn't like the actual physical sounds felt cheap with the trap snare. It felt like a discarded version or something that like a cheap Chinese snare or something. You know, you go to Big Lots and you found a snare, a trap snare in Big Lots. That's what you got.
I once there was a person who who works in like sound engineering who was describing a separate product that he hated the sound of, and he said, "This sounds like a Fisher Price speaker."
Yeah, that's
like one of those toy speakers.
That's literally what it felt like. Somebody put a Fisher Price little keyboard into a laptop, plugged it in, and made an album out of it. There was only one good song that was actually very good, and it was the one song that had a feature on it. It was Urgency featuring Sid.
Really?
That song, fan-fucking-tastic. Very, very good. I loved with that song. It had a little. It started out like Fresh from Daft Punk, if you know that song. It has waves crashing, and I love that. And it comes on. That production felt expensive. It felt like there was a bunch of people who were working on it, knew what they were doing. I'm like, oh my god, it took you 13 fucking songs to do this. Good job, Lil Uzi Vert. It took you 2 years to make, or 3 years to make another album, and 13 songs, and you finally figured it out. Good job. That song's good though. I really like it. I love Sid's part. It complements Lil Uzi Vert's voice, the lyrics, all of that's a very, very good song. The rest of the album, not good, because just it felt rushed. It felt like I've heard this before with SoundCloud rappers. Like, it doesn't feel like somebody who's a big artist who's been making music for a while made this album.
Do you? So it's funny because I know the song you liked the most of Lil Uzi Vert's was XOXO Tour Life or whatever. But the song P2 at the very end, technically, was meant to be like P2 stands for part 2.
Part 2, yes.
It's actually part 2 of that song.
Of that song, yeah.
The idea. Did you like that?
I did like it. I was about to get to it. Like that song, I liked it not as much as Urgency. I really liked Urgency a lot. But those are the only songs that didn't feel cheap. That's it.
No, so the production might be something for people to get ahead of or like get accustomed to. Maybe if they're coming from your perspective, they may have to like it or try to be open-minded enough to it.
The problem was with this album is like there's a chunk of 5 or 6 songs in the middle that literally use the same exact beat. Like I listened to it, went back to it, listened to it. I'm like, nope, this is the same. Like the same exact. Wait, trap snare, bass, but it felt exactly the same with it. So that was the whole thing. That when I was doing it, I go, okay, no, there's no reason to have that big of a chunk when I know he can do better songs. Like there's for sure he's done better work. You see it in like Urgency. That's a good song. You can see it in it, but you know. Whatever. So that's the problem with a lot of trap to me is sometimes it could feel rushed. Like this felt rushed within the whole production, and then the whole double album thing is a mess. Not good for fans, not good for music listeners who are trying to figure out what the fuck to listen to. Yeah, I mean, I'm going way too on this album because we have way more music to listen to.
No, it's totally fine.
But that's my whole problem with trap, and that's why I've been trying not to listen to it because anytime I go back to it, it disappoints me. There's only very few artists that do trap well. Like the song with 21 that I listened to on the double album, that shit, like there was parts of it I didn't like, but then there's bars and stuff in that are hilarious that I do like. So, yeah.
Right. I definitely think if you're
If you're a trap head, you'll probably like this.
Yeah, if you're a bit more trap skeptic, you will definitely like maybe have some concerns with the beats and the way that goes. But in addition to like seeing, I was willing to take that in as like, okay, they're experimenting with a sound. And I will at least say this, and I don't know if you'll agree or not, but the album stuck true to its sound.
Oh, like, for sure. No, it was very cohesive.
Whether you like it or not, it's cohesive, which is something we look for.
No, I'll give it credit for that. It is very cohesive. It tells a story in that regard. But then the cohesiveness is, if you make it a cohesive, you got to make it the sound that works.
Yeah, you also have to like, it's not just making it cohesive, you also have to like build production.
You have to make good fucking sounds.
Yeah, which is fair. I like the style. I also think it helps Lil Uzi Vert's like lyrics shine. There are some specific bars and like Celebration Station and Chrome Heart tags that go really well. But I think the best, and I'm gonna like mention this as my last point, the best nexus between like Lil Uzi Vert's like good rapping skills, which have improved significantly, or at least improved in a good order between his last album and this album. Those rap skills have improved, but also the fact that they're trying to make it more video game soundy, to a song that had come out a couple of months ago but ended up being a bonus track on here, Futsal Shuffle. It's like the mix of like kind of what we talked about, what we were looking for in Audio Face and the State of Music conversation that we released last week, which is like make rap more ravey and make it more like electronic.
Like what Vince Staples did that 3 years ago.
Yes.
So like it's
pioneer in that case. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the problem with it. It's showing that it is possible, but people are either too lazy or too ignorant in their own bubble to really get out and venture off of it. So, but you know, it's whatever.
No, yeah. And also there's the bonus track That Way, which does sample the I Want It That Way, like mid-2000s song, Backstreet Boys song. It sounds a little bit different. I was just like, wow, Lil Uzi Vert actually has the audacity to do this. Yeah. Okay. But overall, I will still say this is the trap album to beat. If you don't like trap, you're not going to love this album, probably not, based on Sean's recommendation of it. But I think if you do like trap, you are going to find 2020's trap album to beat currently in March right now. I think you can definitely do better than this. There's always been a space to do much better than this. And if I'm being a more kind of Sean-centric music reviewer, this still feels like it could have been a trap album in 2019. I'm not seeing like the
2018
push it,
even, yeah,
possibly, but I'm not seeing the push it forwardedness of this quite yet. Although I do like, one thing I said about trap a while ago was that it seems like it's pushing a little bit forward, but it experiments in the same sort of.
I think we got spoiled so much, but I Am Greater Than I Was. Like that album is so stupidly good that any other trap album I listen to and doesn't have that style of production, it feels
range of production.
Range in production. Because it doesn't have
like maybe I Am Greater Than I Was a little bit less cohesive in sound than I would say this album is, but the sounds that were in there had their own range, had their own depth, so that it worked on the album together enough, but each song had its own, like, hey, there were songs that sampled like Santana.
That song,
like that, like went these different directions. They had their own sort of like range within the album. So that was something that was really good that we liked. Right. But yeah, overall.
Arbitrary scale is canceled sports events because every sporting event in the world has been canceled. I'm going through withdrawals. So this is the NBA season being canceled because this is the first thing where it's like 2 Utah Jazz players got the coronavirus and it's like everybody panics.
One Utah Jazz player decides to basically wipe his dick on all of the equipment.
Dude, that shit was hilarious. I fucking died of laughter watching my. This guy's a goon for this. This is hilarious.
Dead-asky. The NBA is a really good one. I'm gonna pivot slightly. I'm gonna give this the NCAA March Madness. March Madness is canceled, so. Solid. What we're going to have to do is invite... we're
going to have to watch 2011 Eastern Conference Finals.
We might have to Twitch stream us playing NCAA 2K14.
Please not. Please not. I will not play an NBA game. I suck at that shit.